Alright, if you've worked on any of these OBS trucks, you know that pins and bushings need to be replaced every time, just about. I think this one is maybe like the third set. Hey, at least you can replace them. This one's it's already split, so I knew that we needed to be replacing on it. And it's going to break into a million pieces. These things are made out of some kind of bronze or something. There we go. So, yeah, you can see that's your bushing. And this is the pin. That's all you have that holds the doors on these trucks. And then fairly snug. This one is the new one. Goes up in there. Gotta give it a little motivation from a hammer, I'm sure. Maybe the gap aligner might be the thing to get out on this deal. There we go. It's hammered in, pretty flush. That tightens that end up nicely. Now we got to knock this one out and replace it. Pretty basic stuff, guys. Just take your time and do a good job. Yeah. See if we can. No, break it. Yeah, sometimes that's just the way she wants to go. Let's go ahead and bust it. A million pieces. Yeah. Go in with this one. Ooh, fits tight. Okay, and the next one's on the actual hinge on the door. Same thing. Hey guys, welcome to the video. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about aftermarket parts and how much fun they can be. Yeah, and what a pain in the butt they can be, right? I mean, we just expect everything to fit like it's a new vehicle, and well, it just doesn't happen that way most of the time. You got to do something, right? So I'm going to show you guys just a couple of things that I had to do to make an aftermarket fender fit. It might help you out on your own project at home. So stay tuned, sit back, check this out. One nice thing about this aftermarket fender, all the clip holes were in the correct spot. So made it easy to put all the original clips back in and get it ready to go on the truck. You know, these things are pretty simple to take off. Just got a little tab in the middle you lift and they'll slide out of the holes 90% of the time. If not, hey, they sell them. It's a newer vehicle. So looking here with the fender off of the truck, you can see you've got a bolt here, one up here, several along the wheel well, one in the very bottom of the fender. Then you come up here, and since this has got this computer, there's a bolt here, series of them here, couple here, one up here, and one down here. Yeah, quite a few bolts, but hey, they're all the same size. Just took a 13 millimeter and a little bit of time to take it apart. I guess a 10 too. Okay. Yeah. All right, guys. So I'm gonna leave the camera on back there and let you guys watch me kind of struggle to set this fender back up in here, so then we can look at it and talk about what we got going on. Yeah. As you can see, it is got the hood spring on here. I left the hinge on the hood. Yeah, you just kind of have to pick this thing up, set the front end of it down, bring the back end of it in. I'm leaning up against her a little bit here. And then, yeah, just a small fight, not bad. Now, Don't want to break the windshield, so be careful with that hood. There we go. Hinge bolts are kind of special. They got that little shoulder on them. Make sure you get the right bolts in there, or you could have an unfortunate event happen. They only go through there one way. Yeah. Top of the fender, bottom of the fender, inside the door jamb, they get these silver 13mm headed bolts. So preliminary fit, we're only going to put a couple in there because, yeah, lots of bolts and having to take them all in and out to make this thing try to fit the truck. So there you guys go. Got this gap. Look at how far off that body line is. It's like about 1/8 or 3/16 of an inch too high on the fender. Our gap in between the fender and the hood, it's not horrible, but it could always be a little bit better, right? Just want a nice consistent gap. I mean, the other side of the hood, look at that thing. It's pretty nice gap there. Body line lines up good back here. In between here. Fender's not perfect in and out, but it's really close, and the gap is pretty consistent going down. I don't know how well that shows up for you, but take my word for it. This fender, it fits the truck. The other fender, well, we're gonna work on it a little bit, try to get some things to line up a little better. All right, guys, here we are. We got this thing took off of the truck. You can see the two bolts that go in between the door hinge there and the fender. That gives your in and out and the gap for the door. And then the top of this thing up here, this hits on a bracket that comes off of the cowl. It has one bolt that goes in it, and I've already taken a die grinder and a carbide bit, and I've cut that hole out a little bit. Let me go grab it, and I'll show you what I used. Oh, yeah. Hope you guys are having a good day. So there you go. Just a little cone-shaped bit. Die grinder, get in here. Sounds like you're going to the dentist, and, you know, had to move the hole back to get the fender to slide forward. Now, if we don't do something about these, we're going to end up, this will just pull the fender back and close our gap up. So I don't really like to use shims. You could put a shim here or put a washer in between this and the door hinge. Yeah, let's go look at the truck. I'll show you what we're going to do on this one. All right, so this bracket right here, that's where our bolts go through to pull the fender back towards the door. Yeah, look at it from this angle. Very little adjustment, okay, especially in and out. This is where I'm talking about putting a shim in to move that forward. Hey, we're just going to take a crescent wrench. This stuff is super hard metal, so it takes a good little pull. That's all we needed, was just a little bit out this way. Now when we bolt that up, fender will stay out, and our gap will be just that little bit wider. Now this bracket right here, it could use to go down just a little bit to help with this body line. That's a little bit tougher one. Yeah, same tool. Good old crescent. I'm going to drop that down just a little bit there. Now you have to be careful, because when you do this, it does make that bolt go in at an angle slightly, so you don't want to overdo it. Now, I like to give it a little extra. So I just have a giant chisel and a very large hammer. And just pop it a couple times up here. don't hit your hood and mess stuff up that you've worked so hard to fix. Okay. Give her a little inward action. You know, you got to do what you got to do. It sucks that an OE fender just came right off and it had perfect gaps, but it's the way it goes. We could move the hood around on the hood hinges. I hate to move the hood too much because the other side fits so good. So we're focusing our efforts on the fender here. All right, so we're going to get that little hole right there. We're going to make him a little bit bigger size. Be super cool if I get that light to shed a little bit of light where you can see. So we're just going to cut that out just a little bit bigger, a little bit longer going back this way. That'll allow the fender to slide forward. Okay, now we got to have a little corrosion protection inside of that hole. Doing this like I think it's the last time we're going to have to take this thing off and put it back on. You know what I mean? That would be awesome, I think. Get us a little towel for some masking and come right on back into it here. So just to catch any overspray. There we go. Snowed about 6 inches last night here in Oklahoma. I mean, that's not a lot considering what it does in other parts of the world, but it's quite a bit for this part of Oklahoma. It doesn't snow like that very often here. So lots of people out there not knowing what to do. All right, being careful not to break the windshield. Slide this joker back up on there. Fit it in there far enough to get the hood to swedge over it. Wow. Yeah, she doesn't like that, guys. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Come on now. Don't struggle. Don't struggle. There you go. Lined up. Grab our bolt. Grab a couple of bolts, maybe. Yeah, you know. Yippee. Bolt in the very back hole inside of here. Come on, darling. Oh, yeah, it's like a little bit different now, isn't it? And that body line is still like not giving us no love. That's going to be a trip. We can do it. I felt it happen right then. All right, so I'm having to take this socket and put it on the head of the bolt before I can get my impact in there on the actual socket. So apologize for being in front of that. Now, going to use old shop wall to give me a little push. Impact going the right way. Run that one in. So I push in on it so that I close up that hood gap as much as I can. Now I'm going to get the front so that our in and out, the hood gap is good. Then we'll worry about this body line and the door gap. Pretty easy up here. We'll just go in a little bit. All right, so now you can see she's pretty good all the way back. I mean, that's a tolerable gap. Finger doesn't go through it. Let's go there. And then now we'll work on this. Got to do that from probably the very bottom bolt. Let's try that. All right, we threw us a shim in the very bottom. Got our gap kind of going. The bottom of it is set where it's going to kind of be. There's still some movement there, but we tighten that thing all up. Now, for the in and out here, I'm going to use I call it a spoon. All right, we're just going to use it for a little leverage here, kind of help us move this fender out where we want it. Now I'm trying to not do all my adjusting in one spot. Give it a couple of digs here and there. Now you do lose some of this nice gap you got there when you're pulling this out. You know, unfortunately, it's just aftermarket parts. And I try to get the fender at least even with the door. I would like to have it sticking out. It just helps with wind noise if the fender's out slightly. That's pretty good right there. It's taking, come down here with me, guys. Yeah. All right, so down here, give her a little more. That is actually pulling that fender down a little bit when I do that. Man, just barely off now. I don't have the bolts inside of here. I'm just trying to get it tweaked where it needs to go. We'll have to come in and put those bolts. We might have to do us a final little tweaking on there to get it just right, but we're pretty close. That's dead even right there, no gap. Here, door slightly out still, so the fender needs to come a hair more. I'm trying to pry close to these body lines where I'm not going to distort the whole panel. Body lines are going to be the strongest area. So this body line, we're still off a little bit, but not much. We lost a hair up here with our hood gap, but not bad. And now we're completely even here. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to put my bolts into the fenders from the door jamb there, and we'll tighten those up and see what we got. All right, well, got to raise up the old hood here. We got our gaps looking pretty nice. Need to move this fender forward just a little bit, and it really just doesn't want to go. So we're going to give it a little love with the old. All right, so back with it one more time. Going to loosen up this bolt. It's not quite as happy with this fender gap as what we could be. All we need is a 1/16 of an inch, if that. So we're going to use this fancy thing here. We call it a friction jack. The trade name for it is monkey on a stick. And it's kind of cool because you can just take this jack off here if you can get it loose. Ah, come on. Come on. Yeah, you can get this jack off here. You can turn it around and make it push. Just have to hold your mouth just right, and she comes right off. Come on. All right. So we're going to use this. We're going to put it right up here on the cowl. And I'm going to push on the core support. And we're going to try to drag this fender forward just a little bit. Come on. All right, let's get you guys back here. All All right, we're gonna put some pressure on her. Come on, baby. All we need is just a tiny, tiny bit. Let's go in the fender and loosen the top bolt. All right, I think we're splitting hairs, man. Okay. All right. Okay, I'd say that's all we're gonna get. But you might ask yourself, oh, why would you change a good OEM fender and put an aftermarket fender on there? Well, look at the back side of this thing. She's crusty, man. It's got rust jack in there, rusted out up here. Yeah, that's a reason to change. We should put a awesome aftermarket fender in place of this nice OEM part. The rest of the truck is coming along nice. We just got to do us a little bit of sanding and we'll have this thing ready now. So, hey, next video on the truck, have her all sanded, cleaned up, and hopefully be masking it, getting ready to paint it. Yeah, that'll be awesome, won't it? Yep, so super cool. Got a little jig in here with the engine hoist so we can set the bed back on the truck if we need to. Yeah, that way we can put her all back into one piece and get her to the paint facility, right? So we will catch you guys on the next video.